you get off work and you go home and you take care of the kid. You
Yeah.
probably get vomited on.
Yep.
You change some diapers. You finally get the kid to go to sleep. And then when the baby sleeps, you sleep.
Could you be dressed in tinfoil and
That might be a little extreme, but I
keeps you
definitely
warm, man. Just like a baked potato. You stay warm inside the tinfoil. It's great. On today's episode of Uniweb Interview Show, I'm joined by the magnificently wonderful Jon Helmkamp. Joining me from Arizona Sunshine, Jon, thank you so much for coming on. How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, dude. I'm excited to talk to you about your book that's going to be hopefully coming out soon, right?
Yeah. Should be targeting late May, early June, something like that.
That's fantastic. So what is the name of the book?
Yeah, it's Becoming Dad, an epic quest for parental perfection.
Becoming Dad.
Becoming Dad. Yeah.
That's a fantastic name. So is this like a nonfiction informative kind of book, or is it?
No, it's more of a contemporary fiction. It's the story of a guy that goes on an epic adventure. He's sailing for about a month on an old sailboat that his dad left behind to him, and all the while he's just reminiscing about his kids, reminiscing about when they were young and things that he learned. So it's kind of a cross between a story, while also giving some insight into fatherhood for new dads and old dads alike.
Wow. And so how I take it you're a dad?
Yep.
Is this was that the inspiration for writing this? Were you like, I'm trying to figure this crap out?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a dad. I got 2 kids, both little. But this is kind of the book that I would have wanted to read when my wife was pregnant for the first time. So it's kind of a way of sharing information about fatherhood, but I wanted to make it enjoyable. I wanted it to be a story that people could pull from and relate to, without reading, just a bullet list of things to get ready for it. Those have their own place. There's a couple of those out there, but I didn't really see anything that was more of a story that you could get invested in. So that's kind of where I'm pulling from.
Well, that's the best way to learn, right? It's like if you're enjoying the content that you're reading, it makes it so much easier to download it into your head. Like your brain wants to take that kind of information in.
Right, exactly. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be, an adventure that people could go on. So,
is it full of dad jokes? Like really, really bad dad jokes? 'Cause I love those, man.
Oh, there's a couple. There's a couple dad jokes, but more it's moments of humility, lessons learned, things you could have done better. You miss those fleeting moments. They go so fast with your kids. Before you know it, they're on to the next stage. Like, I swear that we just brought my daughter home, and yesterday she started soccer for the first time. And I'm like, where was the in-between? How did we get there? So
it's mind-blowing, right? The years just absolutely fly by because your like eyes are covered in spaghetti goop that's been thrown at you by You're constantly just like chasing this. I feel like most of parenthood is literally being consumed with the fear that this little person in your watch is somehow going to impale themselves on something or like run out in front of something, and you're like, I know I was constantly, I still am, but like constantly in a state of, oh my God, I have to keep another human being alive.
Yeah. No, that's definitely
whose idea was this?
Right. Like, there's no certification. No one checked that I was ready to bring this child home. They just said, well, apparently this is yours, so have a good day. So there's no training manual, you just jump into it. And it's actually funny that you mentioned that, because one of the topics in the book is that there's no more like deep chair sitting. Like, there's no more of this. When your kid's around, you're up, like on the edge, ready to jump in and stop them from sticking a toy in an outlet or something along those lines. So there's
There's
It's all
never
defense. It's all defense, no
always
offense.
absolutely, yeah. You
Yeah.
just want to wrap them up in bubble wrap, and it's because you love them so much. You just love those
Right.
dang little idiots so much.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that we were once that way.
Right. And then it's
So
funny when you talk to your own parents and they
yeah.
just laugh at you. They just
Oh.
laugh and they're like, "Yeah, now you know what it
Mhm.
was like when you were that age." So
Were you a pretty terrible child?
I was not. I was a pretty good kid, but I was one of those kids that always thought that they knew everything. Like even when I was 3, 4 years old, I would try to debate my parents, and they would be like, "You literally don't know what you're talking about. No, John, the sky is not green today."
Yeah.
So, and it's so funny because my daughter's the same way. She just every single sentence, every point, everything needs to be debated and articulated, and it's really fun. It's also really exhausting, and sometimes I kind of wish that she would just say okay, but she never does.
Yeah.
So it's fun. She's a hoot.
There's the seeker, man. Like you just you're craving knowledge, and you feel like as a child that curiosity to figure out the universe that you're
Right.
suddenly dropped in is such a fun thing. It's such an
Yeah.
exhausting thing for the adult. So
It is.
so this book it's a unique idea though. Like I've seen the books that you're talking about, like how to like when expecting and stuff like that, like how to be a
Right.
dad kind of deal, like with
Yep.
bullet points. This is have you seen anything else like this that you're writing?
I haven't. There's definitely not anything in the parenting section that's like this. I think we're targeting more of a contemporary fiction genre approach, really about kind of self-discovery and growth, you know, an epic quest, you know, because it's really one man's story. Like this whole book is a fictional story about a character, and I would say 80% of the book he's by himself. So it's a lot of introspection and overcoming adversity and self-development. You know, so it's a pretty cool approach, I think. I mean, I wrote it, so I would hope that I like it.
Yeah, this is so
but,
stupid.
right?
What was I thinking?
This book's terrible. No, I'm excited about it, and I think it's something unique. I think it's something that people of all different life stages can relate to. You don't necessarily have to be, you know, an expecting father to like this book. I think that parents of any age, even if you're not a parent, can just enjoy the journey that this man goes on. Whether you're man, woman, husband, father, you know, dad, mother, whatever, grandpa, grandma, whatever stage you're in, I think that this is something that will be relatable on a human level, and that people can really kind of connect to and buy into.
Yeah, because I feel like being a parent, one of the things that you learn is that things are completely out of your control as much as you want to, like as much as you want to align the stars just right for the person you love. Like sometimes crap is gonna happen that you just can't.
Oh yeah.
Fathom.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, day one with us. You know, our daughter arrived pretty unexpectedly and early, and we had to do 2 weeks in the NICU, and it was, you know, a whirlwind, and we had it easy compared to a lot of other parents that were in there. So yeah, it's life's full of curveballs. You know, you gotta be able and willing to adapt to those and to just go with it when they come.
Yeah. What's the name of the main character?
William Driver. Yep, William Driver.
So is this based off of you? I mean, is this character built out after you?
Yes, like I pulled from my own experiences and kind of made them his, but I made him into a different character. The character is named after my grandfather.
Cool.
And you know, it's it's a nautical book. I mean, most of it's sailing or stopping in at different ports. Pardon the lawnmower in the distance. So it's It's very nautical based, which is not my experience. I love the water, but I'm not a sailor. So it's this man's journey, his own life, but I used my own experiences to kind of mold the background and the lessons learned.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Because when I feel like when you write something like that, when you write about like pulling from yourself, you can really hone in on like the neuroses of that you feel like you have, your character defects, your character issues, and it's almost fun to write them.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has been. It's been a lot of fun writing the character, writing his experiences, and kind of emotional responses and developments to different things that happen. A lot of them have been how I've reacted. A lot of them are how I wish I would have reacted. So there's a lot of that in there, which has been a lot of fun. You kind of get to know your character and feel like you're friends with them, and it's a pretty fun experience.
Have you learned like as you were writing, did you figure some stuff out like you could do better as a father? Were you like, oh man, wow, I didn't see it that way before.
Yeah, there's definitely been part of that. There's been some moments in there when I'm writing it where I go, oh, I probably should loosen up a little bit. I don't need to wrap my kid in bubble wrap. I don't need to try to correct every sentence, everything that's said. You gain a little bit of perspective. Luckily, I'm fortunate enough to have a wife that gives me my perspective for me.
So she's like, here you go.
Yeah, here's a heaping plate of perspective.
Eat it.
She's good at doing that. She keeps me in check. But it's definitely been fun to learn from William's adventures and his own reactions in fatherhood.
Yeah, awesome. So, and this will be your first book.
Yep, first novel. So pretty excited about it.
Yeah, it's awesome. How long have you been writing for?
This book or everything in particular?
Just in particular, like how long have you been considered yourself a writer, I suppose?
Yeah, I've always loved writing. I would write stories when I was a kid. I was that kid in high school where they assigned an essay and I would like cheer while my friends were like, dude, I hate writing. So I've always loved writing. I did the high school newspaper.
Okay.
And then I've had, on and off blogs over the last few years. One that I'm really consistent with right now, which is also a fatherhood blog, so it kind of ties in here.
Awesome. What's the name of the blog?
It's called From the Helm. There's a link to it in my Twitter bio as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it in the description of the video too, so we can.
For sure. But yeah, I've always loved writing, but it wasn't until within the last kind of few months started considering myself to be a writer, like where I really dove in and gave myself the ability, like the confidence to actually write and to take on writing a novel. And huge, like I love it. I've been more on fire for this than anything else that I've ever done. It's been really good. It just lines up with my purpose, what I was built to do.
That's awesome. What do you feel the main ingredient was for you? You said that they gave you the courage to just finally invest in writing the novel. What was it?
Well, we've had some health issues with my parents, with my dad. And I think when you're kind of confronted with mortality a little bit, it kind of gives you that little push. You just got to take your shot. You got to do the thing that you love to do. You're always going to be tired or have excuses or, parenting's hard. I have a full-time job as well. But you have to take your shot in life because you only get one. So I just kind of stopped listening to, my own self-doubts. I stopped listening to fear of, well, what if it's a flop, and said, what if it's not? Like, what if it's awesome? What if it's a blast? Like, what if this happened? And then, here I am now with a novel and a publisher and talking to you. And I never thought that would have happened, 6 months ago, a year ago. So it's pretty cool. You just, go out there with confidence and take your shot on things and see what falls.
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest. It's so funny, like the human condition. And it's built out of survival, right? Like we
Yeah,
worry about the things that are gonna kill us.
right.
Like there's that thing that's like, well, I have to stay alive, so I need to stay away from that mastodon or whatever, that saber-tooth tiger. But
Yeah,
at the same time, it's like we don't have that anymore. Like our survival is like in the bank for the most part for the majority of us.
yeah,
In this day and age, just getting over that hump of it's not everything's gonna turn out bad. It's
right.
not,
Yeah,
but that's
you
such a
just
huge hump to overcome, man.
it is, and I've been talking to a lot of other people. I'm really sick of seeing like aspiring writer in people's bios. It's like,
Yeah.
no, if you put pen to paper, you're a writer. Just embrace
Yeah.
it and do it and love it. If you love to do it, do it. Do whatever you love to do. If writing's not your thing, go chase that. Whatever it is. But like we gotta do the thing that makes us feel alive and makes us feel like we are accomplishing something.
Yeah.
Whether or not you write a book and it gets published, or if you write 70,000 words and it sits in your computer hard drive forever. But the act of doing it is so much fun for me that I can't not. Like, I just gotta keep going with that.
Yeah. I was listening to something this morning. It was talking about the only responsibility we have as human beings is to honestly experience being human as much as
Yeah,
possible. Like
that's good.
our only purpose is like just experience it fully.
Yeah,
And that's what, like what you said, doing the thing that makes you feel alive. That's what being human is. It's like there's that little bit of fear and oh my God, something terrible might happen.
right.
But that's where all the
Yeah,
joy is.
there is. You just got to experience it. You just there's so much to be experienced, and for me, that act of writing something and creating something and kind of creating this world for the character and building all of that, for me, that's that experience that gives me energy. Like, I don't have to have energy to write, it gives me
Yeah.
energy to do that. And so I love it. It's a blast.
And what a gift for your kids too, right? Because if you think about it, it's like you get to now paint the picture of yourself as the man who went after the things that he wanted as opposed to the guy who was too afraid. Like that's what for me, like it's a byproduct. I'm like I get to be the man that I want my kids to see me as, like the
Yep.
superhero that I wish they could see me as, or that they already do see me as. Like I
Right.
get to be that guy now, and then I can hopefully, so when their time comes to do something in their life, they don't have to. That fear is a little bit less because they're like, well, my dad did that, so I can.
Right.
So there's a track record. It's like we're able to pave a way for our children.
Yeah, and I think as a father, I couldn't think of anything greater to give my children than the confidence to pursue what they want. Like, I
Yeah.
think that is the thing that I want to instill in them so much, and just tell them, like, and just show them, not just tell them, but to show them, like, you have to just chase the thing that you love. Don't sit on the sideline. Just go be you. Go do the thing
Yeah.
that you're crafted to be. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to be doing that and to start showing that to them. Especially as my daughter's the oldest, my son's the youngest, but especially as my daughter, starts growing up a little bit, I hope that she'll look at me and be like, "Hey, my dad's an author. Like, wouldn't that be
Yeah.
cool? That'd be so much fun." So, just whatever her passions are, whatever my son's passions are, I would just want them to pursue it with vigor. Go get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I tried to give my boys, they're 9 and 6, a copy of my first novel that I wrote, and I was like, no, you guys can't read it yet because it's got some cuss words in it. And my 6-year-old was like, oh, why would you put cuss words in a book? He was like, you're a bad man, Daddy.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was like, I was like, no,
No,
that's not.
no.
But
Laying it on.
he's a
That's fun.
goofball like me, so he knew he was messing with me. He got me good, but it's such a gift to be able to do that. So what was for when you were a child? What was your inspiration when you were reading, like stuff that you grabbed onto and you were like, oh my God, this is amazing?
Oh, man. That's so tough. I mean, when I was a kid, Harry Potter was just coming out, and
Yeah.
I loved those books, like so many, and just consumed them, I'd go on camping trips with my parents, and I'd be, holed up in the tent trailer with a book for hours.
Yeah, man.
Diving into it. And I loved those. So when I was a kid, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of the fiction, a little bit of even Tolkien. I started reading when I was probably like 11. So fairly heavy stuff for an 11-year-old. I also loved a book called The Wrinkle in Time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Just a great book. My mom's the one that liked it, and she introduced it to me. But my parents, I think, set that tone. They're both huge readers. So I saw that from an early age, and they encouraged that, and they would read me, stories. We read the Harry Potter books like together, like my dad and I would read them at night. And that's kind of what laid the groundwork. And then when I started getting older, I started learning about, the older American authors, Emerson, Thoreau, those guys in that transcendentalist period, and just devouring that language, the love of nature, all of those things really inspired me. And I think I pull a lot from that in my writing. I love describing nature. So it's a lot of fun to do.
Well, when you bring life to something that seems inanimate, right? It's pretty neat. It's like painting a picture with words. I think that's one of the least talked about forms in writing, is like if you're able to describe something in such a way that it brings vivid imagery to a person's mind. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what poetry is in a way, but like writing poetry within your fictional novel. Right. There's not a lot talked about that, but I mean, is that how you kind of go about your writing?
Yeah, that's definitely how I go about it. I mean, I'm always trying to put my reader where the feet of my main character is. Okay. I love stage setting. I love describing, nature or even other inanimate objects. I mean, like I went pretty good in detail into describing the boat that he's on in the early chapters. And I want my readers to feel what he feels, see what he sees. And I think that the setting is so important to convey what the main character is going through. Like, I can tell you that my main character is scared. Why is he scared? Because that storm's coming, and I can spend, pages describing the storm as it moves in, and the water turns gray and the wind drives, and, just diving into that and allowing the reader to experience what my main character experiences, instead of just knowing that my main character is scared. That's really what I'm trying to do. So
build fear in the reader as opposed to I mean, it's honestly, right? It's like,
but it's not just the fear. I mean, it's love, it's adoration, it's beauty when he's sailing and there's a sunset. It's, describing the seasons and the changes in his scenery from, a crisp autumn morning, which is how the book opens, to all the different places that he travels to. You go from autumn to tropical weather and flip-flops all in, in one story. So it's pretty cool to be able to paint those different scenes.
Yeah, it is. And I was thinking when you were talking about your inspirations for reading, excuse me, with your parents and the books you read, like the stuff that made Harry Potter and those books so special, I feel like it hit on a time, like he was 11 years old and he felt so different, and he was transported into a magical place where he felt absolutely included, like he was finally a part of something. And I think that's so important for writing, like finding that area. And I think for fatherhood, I think I know it's one of those things where there's so many fathers out there who were raised without fathers, who are trying to figure this dang thing out. Like, how am I supposed to take care of these kids? And it's like it's like that next level, or after like 20s, you get to 30s and whatnot. Once you start having kids, it's like that next level of life where you're like, I feel so isolated and alone, and in that I'm supposed to be the provider, caretaker. Like, I'm supposed to know which way this boat's sailing, and I am lost.
Right.
Right.
And we all feel that. I mean, I was even though I was raised by incredible parents, I'm
Yeah.
still terrified when I had my own kids, even though it was planned, even though we were, you know, looking to have a family. I still feel that way. You still feel,
Right.
you know, isolated and like you have no idea what you're doing. But that's, I think, one of the themes that I want my readers, especially the expecting dads or the new dads, to experience is to know that it's okay to not have everything figured out and to not have to be, you know, perfect or being so hard on yourself where you're like, man, I should have handled that different, or I should have said this then. Like, you're never gonna be perfect, and that's okay. And I think that giving dads that place where they belong instead of being isolated, because I think so often it's so common in the first few years of your kids' lives, like you don't really do anything or see anybody. Like
Yeah.
you get off work and you go home and you take care of the kid. You
Yeah.
probably get vomited on.
Yep.
You change some diapers. You finally get the kid to go to sleep, and then when the baby sleeps, you sleep.
Yep.
And you do that for years, and then you kind of wake up and look around. And you're like, dude, where'd all my friends go? Like,
Yeah.
where are the
Your clothes
people
are much tighter because you haven't been
yeah.
exercising anymore.
Oh yeah.
You're just
Like,
like, what happened?
it is real. And I think that parents in general, not just dads, this is, I mean, moms even more so, you know, God bless them for everything that they do.
Yeah, man.
I could never do what my wife does. She is a saint. She always seems to have the right answer. And I think that that's really important to acknowledge too. Like, women seem to be built with this kind of inherent ability to just know how to be a mom, and then like, and they don't have it figured out either. But for us dads, it feels like that.
It blows my mind. Yeah, absolutely blows my mind.
Like, how did you know that he's hungry as opposed to sleeping, as opposed to needs a diaper, as opposed to has a bubble? The cry sounds the same to me, but you know exactly which one is needed, and that's a miracle. But I think, I think that just I want to give dads this kind of sense of community, belonging, this place where they can all kind of come together with the story and just feel connected to the main character and his experiences, and be encouraged to kind of stay in the fight. You know what I mean? So, and I'm kind of trying to target dads of every type. I mean, not everyone is, you know, the planned, like, we got married and then we bought a house and then we had a kid. Like, no, fatherhood comes in all different stages, shapes, and forms. And I don't want to just try to target, you know, the ones that tried. Sometimes you're kind of thrown into fatherhood, you know, and I want to be able to include those people as well.
Well, I think you put it perfectly when you said, like, none of us have any freaking clue. No matter how we were raised, it's all just kind of like, okay, what the heck am I supposed to do? And I think for anybody who pretends like they know that this is the exact right way, it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
I don't, you know, good for you. That's great,
buddy. But yeah, let me know how that works out. Like,
exactly, yeah, because that's just not life. Like, life is messy and all over the place. It's beautiful and wonderful, but it is just like absolutely uncontrollable. It's a force of nature.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's kind of why the metaphor of sailing is so perfect for this. Yeah. Because you're not in control of what happens. You just have to adapt to it. You know what I mean? There's this whole journey that he goes on where you're not going to control the wind. You can't control the rain. You can't control what the sea does. And it's just like fatherhood. You just have to adapt. You got to roll with the punches, and keep your heading. Keep going the way that you're trying to go.
Yeah, you have to adjust your sails, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I think fatherhood's a lot the same.
It's a wonderful thing. I saw a comedian talking about Father's Day is like the 13th ranked holiday or something like that, behind like Halloween and like all these other holidays. And he was like, "Man, I spent all this dang money on everybody else, and I got my kids getting me a pair of socks and a tie
and a macaroni card
and a macaroni card. And they don't even give me the sock and the tie on the same day. They give me the tie on Father's Day, and I get the socks on my birthday, man. It's like,
Well, see, I'm doomed because my birthday is like 2 weeks after Father's Day every year. So
oh, okay.
it all just runs together.
Yeah. They're like, whatever, man.
Yeah, in one like experience in mediocrity, which is fine. I don't need, anything elaborate, but they're all just kind of together. So, I get like a Father's Day card and then like a birthday hug, and we call it good.
That's right.
So it's
You're like, yeah, best dad ever.
There you go.
And it is. It's a total win, man, for sure.
It is.
That's so cool. So with this book about to come out in a couple of months, do you have plans for the next project?
Yeah. I'm talking with my publisher Haley about a couple of ideas to come out after that. Kind of staying in the same realm, kind of staying in fatherhood and parenting. So I think that's kind of where the next few projects are headed. We're still kind of ironing out some details, but right now I'm just kind of all hands on deck with becoming dad. And, once we get that out and released, then I'll kind of start shifting my attention a little bit to some future projects.
Absolutely. That's so cool. So what, do you have like a vision for your career the next 10 years? I mean, I know you said you also have a full-time job, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So are you looking to make writing a full-time career for yourself? Is that the main goal?
That's the goal. I'd love to get there. It's if I was just on my own, I would do that and eat top ramen every day, but I got to take care of my kids and my wife. And
could you be dressed in tinfoil and
that might be a little extreme, but I
keeps you warm, man. Just like a baked potato, you stay warm inside the tinfoil. It's great.
I don't need warmth.
Oh yeah, you're in Arizona. That's right.
Yeah, I'm all sunshine.
That's a good point.
So, yeah, I think that's definitely the goal, though. That's the target. I'd love to get to that point, and I'm gonna just keep chasing that. Just keep hustling for it and working for it, and see what I'm lucky enough to have come my way. So, gonna keep shooting the shot.
Shooting the shot, man. That's really exciting. I'm excited for you. The book sounds fantastic. I want to check it out.
Yeah,
I know I'm still figuring this crap out, man. When you're talking about getting thrown up on, like I remember with my daughter, like I don't know why. I think it's so that after the kids eat, when they're like little babies, like I don't have any babies anymore, but after they eat, when they're babies, they get gas and they start smiling, and you're always playing and interacting with your new baby. Yeah. And so you see them start to smile at you, and you're like, oh yeah, sweet. And so like I would always like pick them up because they're smiling and start moving around and hold them up like this, and every time they threw up on me. Yeah. And you think I would learn.
Yeah. Well, I would hope that you'd learn,
Thank you.
Based on the theory that science is repeatable.
That's right. My hypothesis was incorrect.
Yes. Yeah. It does happen quite a bit, though. Parenting is not a clean ordeal. It is full of messes, both physical and proverbial. So
absolutely,
you got to keep rolling with it.
Well, John, is there any one piece of advice you'd like to throw out there to the writing community on Twitter or just in general to people?
Yeah, I think, man, when it comes to writing, write what you love. Like, don't try to fit it into some peg. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I had no idea what the quote unquote genre of my book was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to go in the parenting section next to, what to expect when you're expecting. I didn't know if it would go in the fiction area. I wasn't sure. But just write what you love to write. Like everything else will sort itself out. But I think that if you love what you're doing, if you love the project that you're working on, it's going to come through in your writing. And I would just encourage people to do that. And like I've stated a few times throughout this, just don't let fear make your decisions for you. There's a quote that, fear kills more dreams than failure ever does. And I wish that I knew the attribution for that. I don't know who to attribute it to. But I think it's true. Fear stops so many people from doing the thing that they love to do. It stops so much progress and growth and, just thrilling adventures. You just can't be afraid. Just go for it. You just got to go forward.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and you're dead on, in my opinion, about writing what you love, just letting the rest sort itself out. But you found a publisher, right? You're not self-published. You found a publisher. How did you go about finding a publisher? Were you doing query letters or?
I got kind of lucky. It was actually on Twitter in the writing community that I connected with Haley Page, Notebook Publishing. And she's just been a dream to work with. Anyone who has any questions about her or about the publishing services that she offers, please feel free to hit me up anytime. Happy to talk about it. But I kind of got lucky. Kind of a friendship started first before I even found out that she was a publisher and has this incredible publishing company. So I kind of got lucky, but I think that's part of the whole just taking your shots sort of mentality, right? Like I was just in the writing community and having fun and talking about what I love and talking about my writing. And then I made a connection, and that connection led to a publishing deal. So it's been phenomenal to work with her. And her cover designer is incredible also. We got the first proofs back on that, and that's moving forward, and it's looking incredible. It's wood dock with a white rope and then a maple leaf at the top, which the maple leaf has some significance throughout the book, so please read it. And definitely. And it's so top notch, it's so high quality, everything. And I'm just thrilled with watching, this thing that I've been pouring myself into, watching it come together. It's been a really incredible
it's got to be like, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Like when you see the proofs of the cover and stuff come together, and you're like, oh my God, this is real. Like, I haven't just been sitting at home coloring and like being ridiculous all day long.
No, it is real. And, I totally squealed like a 5-year-old when I saw it. It was just a dream come true to see it, tangible, my name on the front of it, and just be like, wow, this is amazing. Like, what an experience, just to see it come to life. And then we'll let the chips fall where they may after that.
That's so cool, man. Well, Jon Helmkamp, author of Becoming Dad.
Yep.
Right? Going to be out in the next month or two.
Yep. Yeah.
Or, when this video comes out, maybe.
It should be right around that time, actually.
Hopefully I'll have a link to put in the description to it. Man, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Again, thanks so much for coming on the Uniweb show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
You sound like a very put together guy, and like somebody I would definitely take dadding advice from.
Well, hit me up anytime. I like to pretend that I've got it all together, so we'll put on that face together.
That's perfect, man. I love that. Yeah. All right, brother. Well, thank you so much, and you have a wonderful rest of your day, okay?
All right. Thanks, man. You too.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you would, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification for the bell. Uniweb, we love you. Love you. Uniweb.